Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be talking about my thumb-actuated AR lower, or TOR, by Iron Horse Firearms. So, before I begin, I'd like to send a big thank you out to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. Always appreciate it and always enjoyed talking to you guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you enjoy this video, enjoy this type of content, please consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing. And with the PR out the way, we're going to get into it here. So, one thing, you guys, if you're a longtime subscriber here, you'll know is that I prefer unique firearms. And one thing that attracts me to certain firearms is just the mechanism and mechanics of it. I love the mechanical engineering aspect of it and just how it's essentially a Rube Goldberg machine. All these things happen just to send a freedom seed out the front of the barrel. And one thing that, like I said, dictates my collection is the mechanisms that operate certain guns, like the Vector, like AKs, like the AR AKs, like the long stroke piston driven ARs, just those weird, unique guns. I'm not one of those people to have like 20, 30 ARs, but they're all ARs, just different colors. I like the mechanism, so I will gravitate towards those weird, unique mechanisms, like my TOR. I love that gun just because how it's unique. It's with the bullpup and how it's all set up. And that's kind of what drew me to this. Also, the story behind this. So you're probably saying to yourself, hey, Geeky Nerd, like, it's a heck of a weird thing. Why is there such a thing? Well, the designer of this lower was a veteran, and he had his fingers injured, and he obviously still likes shooting. And because he wasn't able to really pull a trigger or just kind of, get that fine dexterity motion that, is required for shooting with his fingers, he decided to design a thumb-actuated blower. What that does is, it like I said, it removes the need of your trigger finger, and it places it on the thumb. Well, your thumb has a few different advantages over your fingers. One is that all this muscle right here is in your hand. It is the biggest muscle, so it has the most leverage, has the most strength, and it tires the least. To where your finger, after you try to do rapid fire for every once in a while, you will notice that your finger gets really tired. But your thumb, you can play on your Game Boy all day. So that's one thing that it gives to it. It gives to anyone who is disabled or doesn't have the dexterity in the fingers, but also greater control and greater speed because your thumb is a bit of more of a finer motion than your finger can be at times. Second thing is that because it keeps everything in line when you're shooting, especially long-range shooting, you are actually just pressing down. So with a gun, with trigger finger here, I'm going to hyper-exaggerate it here by sticking it all the way out here. When you're pulling back on the trigger, you can sometimes jerk it this way, or you can pull this way, so you can pull your shots. Now, with the thumb, you're gravitating towards a downward and straight motion. Now, some people might say, oh, you're going to push your shots down. Not actually, because as it breaks on the flat. So it is essentially pivoted like so. And so once it breaks, it's perfectly flat. It doesn't, pull down. So that's another thing that it gives to it is for long-range shooting. Now, whether or not that happens in practice depends on 100% the shooter, because the gun is going to be plenty accurate, but can you be accurate with that gun? So that's another thing. And of course, just how this is all set up, because you hand this to anybody and you just see this, you're like, what the heck happened? Something's a little weird here. So that's the general backstory of it, how it kind of came about. I was waiting for one of these for a while. Also, they were going under Iron Horse, which they did before, but they had a little-known company called Blackwater. They make the Century 12, I believe it is, which is a semi-auto shotgun, essentially a Kalashnikov knockoff. And they parted ways. So it was Iron Horse making these for Blackwater, and they just had a parting of ways. And now they're starting to make these under their own in-house brand. So this is one of them, and picked it up. Had it on pre-order, waited a bit, but they got everything over to me, and I'm super appreciative, super happy to have one. So let's get into it a bit. As you see here, it has a laser engraved nice Iron Horse there, which Iron Horse I think of Harley's, but that's just me. You can see, of course, this was sold as stripped, so that's why you aren't seeing some of the other things. But it does have a nice beveled magazine release. You can see there is your safety. Now, one thing I did notice is that it is fairly stiff to put it on safe. So trying to actuate it on safe with your finger does take a bit of effort, but to take it off safety, it is very minimal. So it does have a snapping action more towards coming off safety, which makes sense, like, because you don't want to accidentally put it on safety. So it requires more of a deliberate action. So kind of like that. You see they have color filled the dots, which they did that very nicely. They also, it is ambidextrous. So that is one thing to consider. They do have the anti-walk pins, which is nice, and I prefer this style over the bar that goes across. I like these little individual ones. Flipping it around, you can see we have the same magazine release, nothing too crazy, same logo on the other side. Your standard takedown pins. Obviously, no trigger cut. Magazine well is flared, just the ever so slightest. It is solid too. I mean, all lowers are solid, but you can tell that this one is. I would say it is below an LMT, but above an Anderson. So right around the Ruger M&P kind of standard. So above the Poverty Ponies, but not quite the highest. But very good lower. The grip that comes with it is actually all machine metal. Not sure if you can hear that, but it is all metal, which is kind of cool, kind of neat. It's not heavy, but it definitely has a bit of weight to it. But I like this grip because it does give you a full grip, and it is weird when you grab one of these that there is no trigger, so you're kind of like, you'll usually keep your index finger here, but with this you can just get the full grip, all that you want. You see it is very extended and is skeletonized. Looking around here, I know we're getting to the trigger. You can see it is very nicely machined inside for the buffer tube. It does have a very nice broad flat here. Paint is, or the anodizing is applied very nicely. You can see inside the trigger, and there is the trigger. That was the hammer. I meant trigger. You can see there, and how it's actuating. Make sure it doesn't fly forward. You can see there, if the light can catch it correctly, there we go, that your thumb is actually pivoting this part here, and it's directly connected to the hammer, which is why you're able to really feel it, engage it, why it gives such a nice feel. It's because instead of having the trigger actuated here, you're just directly actuating this, which is of course the same as you would in a regular trigger, but having it at this back position, it feels like it gives a bit more leverage. That's just my 2 cents on it. You can see there, it is a 2-stage hammer. It has the claw on the side. Sorry, didn't mean to smack the tripod there. And the you see, like I said, is a 2-stager. So I can do this all day. It ain't gonna go anywhere. You can. It's a noticeable wall to where you can do this. But once you do hit that wall, I'd say it's hard to gauge it because you're so used to it with your finger. But I would say once you hit that second wall, I'd say it's about a 4 poundish break, maybe 5, 4 or 5, definitely not more than that, but right around that sweet spot. The trigger the hammer face is kind of unique. It does not follow your same curve because of the design. So it does have those blue springs there, which are like the medium powers per my understanding. And overall, fairly nice build. Now, one thing this does include, which I really like, is you see that little screw inside there. That's actually actuated right here. So that's actually a set screw to maintain tension with your upper and lower, because again, this being one for those that are disabled either by combat or by accident at a smelting factory, or by people looking for a little bit more precision. And one thing you want with precision is you want your upper and lower to be mated perfectly. And when you drop a upper on top of here, you can actually get that screw to push up against it to basically keep everything nice and tight and rigid. So that's just another good little feature about it. And again, it does take some getting used to. I do have plans for this. This is going to be a build here on the channel. I'm going to try to make it a long range, but with a lower this unique, I got to go with the weird quirky AR upper. So stay tuned for that. But again, it is a very nice lower. It definitely is unique. There is no really chafe or anything like that to where when your thumb is around. Now, when your thumb is going to the trigger, it's kind of weird calling it a trigger because we're so used to it up here. You can go all the way forward and basically press against it and kind of get your full thumb on there. Or you can kind of go on the farther edge and get the tip of your thumb, which I feel gives you a bit more of a precision shot to where it's taking the most amount of leverage. But as far as comfort-wise, you can just stick your thumb in there and ride it all the way home. And that's generally how it looks. Again, not the not the most common way to shoot an AR, but a way nevertheless. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. If you have any kind of questions with it, let me know. I know these aren't out there that much, and pretty much all I was able to find about them is promotional videos and kind of like onesie-twosies and articles about it, but never actually a full-length video, so I thought this would be a good addition to the channel and good information for you guys. Go check them out. They're ironhorsefirearms.com. Now, I had to save the worst. They are kind of expensive. This one is $500. I know that's a lot for a lower. But if you have the coin and you want something a little bit more unique to your collection and you just want to try it out, I'd say give it a go. I mean, yes, money's money, and yes, it doesn't grow on trees, even though it's kind of printed from paper and cloth and cotton and all that fun stuff. But regardless, it is something that is unique, and I was willing to give it a try. And you guys can see it here on the channel, and I'll let you know how it starts to progress, if it becomes just a novelty that gets put every once in a while just as a, hey, I have this, or if it actually becomes a feasible, usable, long-term solution that they just fall in love with, because radical ideas can give radical changes for the better or for worse. And so with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. Stay tuned for it, and I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys.